these politicians have became celebrities. You know how they be like trying to get to the celebrity and they got the bodyguards around and they don't really want to be bothered with you. And you feel like if they turn around, shake your hand, oh my God, he shook my hand. This is how your politicians have us or our people looking at them when they don't understand that we have to remind them they work for you.
The Crucial Combo Podcast. You could be anywhere if you're on this channel. Thank you for tuning in. To the Crucial Combo Podcast. Welcome back to the Crucial Combo Podcast. You're tuned in with your gracious host, Coach Joe Afriye. I have the Chicago Flips Red founders here. I talked to Zoe before, and I have Miss Danielle Carter Walters on the show as well. So thank you all for joining me tonight, ladies. How you guys feeling?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's definitely my pleasure. So yeah, let's get into it. Chicago Flips Red. So, I was talking to Danielle offline, and Zoe, I'm originally from Chicago, and just seeing what you guys are doing is very interesting, very very interesting. Um, so let's get into it. I know that we've talked about how you guys started. I know it kind of all started a little bit from the property attempted confiscation. I know with Zoe's mom, and then Danielle, you had a similar situation too with property, right?
Right.
Okay.
My thing with the property was I'm a business owner, so we brought some property to expand my business.
Mm-hmm.
And with that came, we did it with the opportunity zones that Trump, had implemented. And what came with that was TIF money, tax increment, finance and money to help you, build out your business. And it's for blighted areas. So we did all of that. But, the problem is when you try to do everything right, but they give you the runaround when you are trying to open up a business, as far as, the neighborhood opportunity grants, you never qualify for them, even though you're supposed to qualify for them, but it's only
Mm-hmm.
their friends that usually keep getting the same people. If you plug with the mayor or the alderman or who and just with the SBA, small business loans and things. Now, I had great credit. My husband had great credit. We didn't lie on our taxes. We paid big taxes. He was still a CPD officer at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So we did everything right. And they kept giving us the runaround. Every time you turn around, we got to send this in, show what we make a month, showing that this is 3-year process. But yet and still, I'm seeing that illegal alien businesses are opening up brick and mortar business in my community, food trucks, illegal restaurants allowed to operate on our residential area. So we're seeing that. That's what got me to really start really going hard. And then when I saw Zoe, she had called for a town hall, and she called for it. I went there, and that's what happened. Chicago Flips Red formed.
So you guys you both just kind of got together, and so like how was it when you all met? Was it something that like right there that day we should start a new movement, or was it something that kind of slowly built into Chicago
So
Flip Fed?
So what happened was she was on there with Patrice, a lady named Patrice, and so it was basically a gripe with the city. If you have a gripe, like I said, mine was that hers were they demolished her property.
Mm-hmm.
Some people had it where they were trying to get city contract because they're contractors, and they couldn't get it too because they wasn't plugged. So it was the people who had different gripes with the city, and so when we came there, it formed right away because, everybody told their story. It was I want to say it was maybe like 15 people or so came. Everybody said, you know what? When we look at policies, then the policies make sense with the Republican Party. We align with President Trump policies because we had him before. So when we
Hmm.
looked at the policy, and we're business owners, majority of it was some people who work who had jobs and things, but a lot of those people were business owners, entrepreneurs. So we know policies work for the working class and small businesses. So when we talked, everybody told their gripe. We talked about policies, and what made sense was we all agreed that the Democratic parties have destroyed us, and that
Hmm.
the Republican parties, we are all Republicans and conservative in natures. We align with everything with them. And that day, it didn't take no time. We made a video and we said we were flipping Chicago red. It went viral, and that's what it was.
That's so interesting, and it's funny that not only funny, but it's very interesting the way you describe it too, because you said something that I thought was important. Obviously, since Trump got in his second term, it's I don't know about you all, but it seems like it's a different world from when he was in the first time, because I think people forget he was president before. So it's just interesting. So I think when you say Chicago flips red, I kind of watch what's going on in the world, and anybody who is particularly of color, black or of color, who is conservative, I think people feel like, oh, it's something where it's some type of MAGA. I'm in love with the cult or something like that. And what you said that was interesting is that he was president before, and you're a business owner, and the opportunity zones that were in place before, because that is one of the things. Even a lot of critics of Trump, one of the things they were, um, I hear people saying, is that they like the opportunity zones
Hmm.
that he was, implementing in the first time he was in office. So it's interesting that you say that it's not about necessarily hating the Democrat Party off top. It's really more
Right.
about what's going on with where I live as far as the businesses and the policy. So I think that's really interesting that you said that. So,
Mm.
um now let's get into, so obviously that kind of leads into immigration, right? So I see what you guys are doing, and I know that a lot of what you guys have been talking about and advocating against was the sanctuary policies. I've seen you both at Senate Judiciary hearings, House meetings, and stuff like that. And I think that, so tell me, or tell people who may not understand, like what's going on in Chicago as far as immigration, because on one hand, I hear the facts of, like, for instance, I'll just lay this out. I've seen Brandon Johnson, I've seen him testify about 730 something $1 million spent, around that. Let's just say $700 million spent on illegal migrants since 2022. He testified to that, so we know that that's a fact. He was reluctant to testify, but he did.
Mm.
So you have that. Then you have a lot of the other things that went on, like the raid on 75th and South Shore, and other raids that have happened, and obviously the presence of illegal migrants in police stations, sleeping in police stations, and all that. So people don't necessarily understand what it is. How from you guys' point of view, how has the sanctuary policies and the migrant influx affected you all and other people around you, would you say?
I'm gonna let Zoe, because we just talked about that, and she talked about what Byron Donalds when he questioned Brandon Johnson. So yeah, Zoe, go.
Mhm. I mean, it's terrible, and I think that what what Brandon Johnson and Pritzker and um Tony Preckwinkle and Chuy Garcia, Delia Ramirez, Hispanic KKK down in City Council, when they were trying to paint this picture that ICE was coming in and breaking up homes and fighting, hurting people, and just going in and causing havoc. They were trying to uh, use that as a distraction because they already were trying to move this. They were trying to push this budget that they're trying to propose
Mm-hmm.
on top of property taxes just came out. My dog, sorry. Property taxes that just came out. South side, west side were hit, but all of Chicago was hit. But the south side and the west side continue to get hit. We continue to take these hits. Continue to take these hits. We continue to take these hits because um Danielle always talks about is the policies, like the policies are why. But we're paying for a crisis that we didn't ask for. And they are trying to not talk about this crisis. And we have to talk about this crisis because the reason why Donald Trump won was because of this crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And now is the time for everybody that was affected, especially black people. And now this is the time that Chicago Fifth Red, now people are ready to sit down and listen, especially black Chicago, because we're getting displaced. Christmas is a couple of weeks away. 75th and South Shore. Those people have to be moved by Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Johnson wrote a letter to ask the management company could they stay there until 60 days and could they give them $7,500 when you gave billions to
Mm-hmm.
the illegals. You housed the illegals. You made sure that they were housed. You made sure that the families were together. But for these couple of people, because it's only about 15 of them,
Mm-hmm.
you don't got nothing to say. You don't got nothing to do. And these are Chicago residents. Some of them born and raised on the South Side and South Shore. But it's bigger than that because they're trying to take South Shore. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So they don't care about if we're displaced or not. They don't care that our property taxes go up. They don't care about none of that. They know that they know that Donald Trump is not sending no federal money here. They don't have any more money.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to take it out on us, because we are very vocal, me, Miss Jessica, and Danielle, we are a force to be reckoned with. And now it's time to bring up the migrant crisis. Let's talk about how he said that he inherited a crisis that could have been avoided if you would have let us vote if we still wanted this city to be a sanctuary city or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You violated our constitutional right. You violated our right for a choice. Our tax we fund your lifestyle. We fund you as the mayor. We fund everybody who voted against our right. So it affected us, but we had to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we never went through this, and I'm specifically talking about Black Chicago, if we didn't go through this, we would have never been able to, we ain't got nothing to lose but to vote
Mm-hmm.
conservative these midterms 26, 27, because we literally have not the Democratic Party has made Black Americans a caste system. We are literally a caste system in the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never, they came and literally said F us, but we're gonna make the Hispanics middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that, in the best way to show that is to bring up from the day he got in until now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about all the money that was spent. Let's talk about the $725,000 a day shelters that they were paying. Let's talk about the food services, the legal services, the homes, the housing. I remember they did a I think it was ABC or
Yeah.
NBC. The Venezuelan bought their first house for the first time.
Mm.
You know, meanwhile, Southside was getting displaced like crazy. It just wasn't out there. Like how 7500 South Shore, you know, because of the raid and stuff like that. But there was before 7500 South Shore, before Trump even got in office, they were illegally evicting people, get these people out of these apartment buildings because they were getting much more money housing illegals from the city.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time to bring up all of these things to talk about. If you guys continue to vote this way, vote this way, black is a new homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Black is a new homeless. And Mayor Brandon Johnson is not going to do anything because he proved that with 7500 South Shore. It's 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
15 of them, and he can't find them housing. He the mayor of Chicago. All he can do is write them a letter to the manager and ask them, please, can you let them stay for 60 days? The manager, this is the mayor of Chicago, the same mayor that is talking about he's fighting for working class families. He's fighting for affordable housing. He's fighting for the people. He's fighting for black people. He talks about white supremacy every other day. But you got 15 black residents, well, actually 14, Anna Brown, and you can't do nothing for them.
Mm.
Your hands is tied. But when I read this budget, because I got the budget, when
Mm-hmm.
I read this budget, I'm looking at the last 2 years, we had $165 million just off of homeless services.
For
Mm.
them.
When we see elders under the viaducts, everything, blacks elders, white elders. I haven't seen a Hispanic homeless person yet. You know, they say they
Mm-hmm.
out here, but I haven't seen them.
Well, what's really interesting about that too, that you make that point, is that I think that, you know, it is interesting. It is interesting how the change in I've seen a change in a lot of black people to there's
I'm
there,
going. You can
there's
hear that voice.
Sorry.
there, there's a little reluctance I see from some people to say, okay, I'm not going to vote Democrat, even though they see that there's issues there. And what I love about you guys' movement is that, so you may have criticism where people be like, well, you know what? Um, Voting Republican or being down with MAGA or Trump isn't the answer. But what's very interesting is that you guys are digging into particular issues where you live. So
Mm-hmm.
where you live and the things you experience where you live is what's real. That's the very first thing before we even go out here as far as national politics, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So your movement comes from local politics, which I always think is the most important. And
It is.
Mm-hmm.
you know what I really, to your point, Zoe, is that people kind of look over the things that are happening to black people, who are the vast majority of voters, in Chicago, which has obviously been a blue state for 100 years now. So,
Right.
um, so well, before I get into the next question, you talked about the budget. So there were some things that I heard that sounded crazy to me. So I wanted to get you all's opinion of it. So
Our
two
own
things.
Doge.
Two things that I saw that was very interesting. I talk about property taxes a lot because, I live in New Jersey. New Jersey has the highest property taxes in the country.
Mm.
Um, but if some of the things that were happening in Chicago were happening in New Jersey, I would probably raise hell too. So from what I saw from the new budget, I talked to another friend of mine who was on the podcast the other day. He lives on the South Side too, and he said his property taxes have went up 60% in some cases with some people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, on the South and West Side. So I thought that was interesting. And then the other thing I saw that, was seemed concerning, it was that I saw the corporate head tax that Brandon Johnson was trying to push, $126 per employee. So I mean, I grew up there going to Jewel Osco, and from what I understand, it would cost them $7 million just to stay in Chicago. So,
Mm.
um, Do you see that, businesses, or do you fear businesses are going to leave? Because it seems like it's not necessarily a business friendly policies that are being put forth there, and homeowners if they're paying 70% increase in property taxes. So, I mean, what are you guys hearing from people on the ground, whether it be homeowners, business owners? What are y'all hearing?
Well, I think that, well, we know that business will leave. Business have left. We have a magnificent mall that we laugh about is not magnificent anymore. We had, we have downtown Loop, downtown, just vacant. Look, it's sad right now.
Mm,
So businesses are leaving. Homeowners are leaving. So, Zoe talk about that all the time about when she was staying in Streeterville, how they were just selling their homes for millions of dollars less than what it's worth. So this is what's going to happen. But when you think about your socialist agenda, we know that's their, this is what they want. Because anytime that you talk about taxing the rich, and you have people who are here because they contribute to the system. They pay millions of dollars to the tax system. So we saw that if Maria Pappas is what she say is true, the Cook County treasurer, if what she say is true, then the reason why you see the skyrocketing tax property our hike is because businesses have left, and so now that falls on the middle class citizens, the property owners. So if that be the case, if what she's saying is true, then why would you tax more of the companies or the small businesses that's paying into the economy? Why would you tax them? So if they leave, that means now if our property taxes, if they triple, are they going to quadruple? Because of that. So we have to understand that socialism doesn't work. You have to understand. It sounds really good to say tax the rich to people who don't understand, to young people, but
mm-hmm.
people who are business owners, people who have our property owners, we understand that because we know even when you go up on a business, we know all they're gonna do is trickle that down to the consumer. Now
Right.
your products are gonna cost more, so we're going to end up paying for whatever they do for us taxing. Now we have a alderman, Byron Central Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Uh he goes on I can't think of this channel. He goes on do this interview. Right now, they're trying to pay illegal aliens rent. And they're trying to force the landlords to do an eviction moratorium, whereas they can evict them because they're scared to go outside to work or go outside to where they're going because ICE is here in Chicago.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so you broke the law. You know you were breaking the law. You know you're here illegally. And so how do we treat them? We reward them by trying to make us, the taxpayers, who, mind you, we just saw our property tax bill and it tripled, and that's just the first increment. That's not the second increment coming. So no relief for us, but you want us to pay for them because they're scared to come outside because ICE is in Chicago. And then what he said was, that's why they want them. They're on Prisker back because they want to, when they tax the billionaires and millionaires, which is funny because Brian Johnson is a millionaire, probably a billionaire. CTU Stacey Gates, Davis Gates is, Prisker is a billionaire. So who are you really taxing? But let's just go, they play their game. So
Mm-hmm.
now he's saying that Byron Central Lopez, we want to tax the billionaires and millionaires because if we tax them, that's going to bring in about $5 billion. And when that bring in, we can use that money to pay for the illegal aliens rental assistance
That's
and
crazy.
everything else for free because they're not leaving the house. So we looking at now, if we go with that logic, Trump is in office for what? Another 3.5 more years. So you want us to pay, we already paying for their assistance, but you want us to pay their everything because they're scared to come out the house because ICE is in the street. So we're looking at 3 more years, 3.5 more years of paying their rent. They don't free everything because they gotta pay. You gotta give them food. You have to give them. They pay for their energy, things like that, because they're not
Hmm.
working. They're not coming out the house. And you want the landlords to take that loss after their property taxes just went up too as well. You want them
Hmm.
to take that loss to
Like the
because they can't evict them to house them as well. So you're looking at a mass foreclosure that's in the making right now,
Hmm.
because if they can't evict them and they are not getting any money for them, then it's the landlords are going to lose their property. The homeowners, we're losing our property from property taxes. So this is your
but
socialist
that's what
agenda.
they want.
This is what they want. This
They
is
want they want
exactly.
they want to bankrupt the system. They
Mm-hmm.
want that's his goal. Like, that's why it's so crucial that this man, Walter Burnett Jr., does not get this seat at CHA, Chicago Housing Authority. Because the goal with Brandon Johnson is, because Brandon Johnson is a nationalist. His people told me this. Like, he's a nationalist. His goal is to get all this land and build on the land, and build whatever in his weird mind that he thinks he's going to do, how whatever this socialism agenda. But his goal is to get this land, get these buildings, get all this stuff, and do whatever his thought of affordable housing is. He's
Hmm.
taking the 2.2 billion dollars that was our in the West Southwest money, supposed to be for the South Side, West Side. He has took that money in the beginning of the year when he first got in office and turned them into money bonds. He's sitting on about almost $1 billion in infrastructure money that
Mm-hmm.
was passed last year at the budget. It was passed for this year budget. He's sitting on that money.
Hmm.
They have they're conspiring with Obama and them, when it comes to what's happening with that presidential center,
Hmm.
trying to get that endowment money in there because they're short $396 million. Like, this, honestly, if the feds do not come in,
Mm-hmm.
like, when we say, like, we talk about it, people laugh at it, all that stuff, but, like, for real, like, we need the feds to come to Chicago because he think he is Nino Brown,
Well,
literally.
I've seen, man, and it's crazy because I've seen you both, like I said, testify at
Mm-hmm.
these Senate and House meetings, and yeah, I've seen you all plead in many occasions for federal review. Danny C, I saw you plead for a couple of things. I saw that you pleaded for a review of how Illinois block and ice
Yep.
officers for doing their job, criminal investigation into judges that are targeting some of the officers unfairly, and a full check to your both of your point about all the money's being spent on illegal migrants. And what's interesting to me is that so there's obviously Chicago isn't the only sanctuary city, but what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is that, so for instance, technically I'm in a sanctuary state. They had Newark was a sanctuary city, New York was, Boston, Denver. But what I find interesting about Chicago, it seems that the way it's being handled there is a little different than everywhere else, because New York had its issues, but Eric Adams,
Yep.
he started to see the light a little bit, and he had his own issues, which is a whole nother topic. But they seem to clamp down and kind of at least clamp it down. They didn't totally halt everything, but they started to clamp it down because they were doing some of the same things here. They
Mm-hmm.
had some of the not some of the migrants. A lot of the migrants had a per diem of, like, I think $1,300 a month for food.
Yep.
They had the card. They were staying in a lot of the hotels that were vacant since COVID. So a lot of the hotels in Manhattan, they had migrants staying in there. But they seem to they clamped that down after Trump got in. So, but what I noticed in Chicago from what you all are saying,
Mm-hmm.
it's great that you guys are getting that out. I think a lot of people they think that the sanctuary city issues are the same everywhere, and from what I'm viewing, it's not the same. And Chicago seems to be a lot more critical. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that, I wanted to ask you all about crime. Now, I've had conversations with people. I've had debates with some people about crime, right? So, I haven't lived in Chicago in a long time, but I'm from Chicago. I know Chicago well, right? So I know that, let's go back 20 years. I know 20 years ago, my mom used to live in Marina Towers. So, and, then I lived in, I grew up in Dalton and Riverdale and all that whole area and lived in other parts of Chicagoland. But 20 years ago, from what I remember, and I went to Columbia College too. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh, you went there? Me too.
I
I
went to
went there for a
Columbia.
minute.
You went to
Yeah.
Columbia? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for a
So,
minute.
yeah. So, State Street, Wabash, Michigan. I, it was never a time where I thought you could get shot or any shootings happen downtown. I don't remember a time where any shootings happened downtown. You know what I'm saying? If you in certain neighborhoods, you might say, well, you know what? Okay, something might happen. I'm in Inglewood.
Right.
I'm in K Town. I'm, on Wild Hunters or whatever. Certain areas, something might happen. It's possible. Downtown, what's surprising to me is that you see crimes happening in places, you know, that didn't happen before. So
Right.
this debate about crime, right? So obviously a couple months back, you all know, obviously there was a big thing about, National Guard coming to Chicago. And, Brandon Johnson, Pritzker went walking on the lakefront at 6 a.m. talking about how safe it was.
Right,
And,
right, right.
so here's the thing.
That's
Yeah, I'm,
wild.
I'm peeping from the outside, like other people. So if you live there, you know the deal. Now, before I land this plane, the numbers. So there's a whole debate about, Chicago's the top murder capital, murder city. Then there's other conversations about that it's not. So they were arguing about all this stuff because first, uh, the National Guard went to D.C. first, right?
Right.
And then they went to I think it was DC first, and then they were gonna come to Chicago. And
Right.
then Brandon Johnson and Pritzker were like, we're gonna put salt trucks and all type of stuff to block
Right.
them and all this stuff. So I say all that to say this. Per capita, um, was places like Memphis, Tennessee, St.
Mm-hmm.
Louis that has high crime too. But I tried to explain to people about Chicago, although it's a larger city, 2.73 million people, the crime seems to be, for one, very concentrated, um,
Mm-hmm.
our neighborhoods, and then for two, um, the type of crime. So for me, I always tend to look at it and I say, well, you can judge the severity of the crime by the type of crimes that's happening and where it's happening. So for example, in New York, if people were getting shot in Times Square, they would be like, something's going wrong. People
Mm-hmm.
get shot on Park Avenue, something is critical. Even if you say crime is down from last year, people are getting killed where tourists would be. So
Right.
what are y'all what is the crime actually like? What are y'all seeing from the inside? Like what do y'all see?
Well, we know crime is not down. And like you said, if you know, if you live here, you know. So, and you know the places that you can't even go. You know when you can't sit in your car at a red light because the car on the side of you might come pull up and jump out the car and they got 3 guns to your head. You know that's a strong possibility. At first, like you said, it usually be at in certain places where it still is, but now because it's so bad, and let's just say this, you have the same individuals committing the same crimes, and it's us. And uh, so let's just say if you have a community where is we like you said we expect the crime, right? So now we have our head on a swivel. We are just not lollygagging and walking around like with rose glasses on. Now up north and downtown they're more lax. So now, because the crime is in our community, and you think you're gonna just keep it there, it's not. It's like a cancer. Now they're going to where they can have where the victims and they're not really paying attention, because like you said, if you go on State Street, you think you're safe, but and they know that.
Right.
So now you're not safe. So when you allow crime to be this bad and get out of control, and you lie about numbers, what's happening is you can't contain it. And now it's starting to happen, and it's still happening in our communities. Let's be clear. But now it's starting because it's so bad. They are letting them right back out on ankle monitors. So now they're not in jail, so they're committing the same crime. I mean, more crime, and they have ankle monitors on. Now you on top of that, you throw in the mix 30, 40 more thousand illegal aliens on top of that. So not only is
Mhm.
it our crime and then their crime, because they're doing a lot of the crime as well. So
Hmm.
this is spilling everywhere. And now the places that would be safe, it's not up north, Riverwalk, downtown, like the tree
Yeah.
lighting ceremony where it was shot up,
Right.
traditional ceremony. So now places like that is not even safe. So that lets you know, if you're just using common sense. We don't even have to use the line stacks, because Brandon Johnson got rid of shot spotter, and that was to detect gunshots. So how many of us hear gunshots and we don't even call the police because we are used to it? So
Mm.
they now, where shot spotter would be, you have 60, we call them 60 Brandon bodies, because people have died there, and some of their bodies just been there for 2 days, a day, because where shot spotter would be and detect gunshots, and then the police can go there. Now people are not calling because they hear gunshots, and you have bodies just laying there that may have gotten help and lived. Now they've not. So when you have
Wow.
data, so that data you can't, because that data is gone, I can just lie and say whatever. I can play with the numbers manually. So that's what you
Right.
see happening. And it's showing up in places that it wouldn't usually happen. So we know this. If you do, like I said, if you just use common sense, you're from Chicago, and you don't have to be from Chicago, just common sense. You know crime is not down. We
Yeah.
just had within the month of, just from um what was that, Memorial Day? So what's that, Labor Day?
Labor
We
Day.
Labor
just
Yeah.
Day.
Labor Day, mass shootings within that whole month. We had like 4 mass shootings.
Hmm. I
So
remember that.
yeah, so crime isn't down. So we don't care what he's telling you, what he's lying about the numbers, and they're manually putting them in, downgrading the crime. No, it's not down. That's why you see them getting bust upside their head and getting shot now downtown and things like that. The same people
Right.
that's
Hmm.
disinvested in, that he never gave the resources to our community, the same people that they're letting right back out, but they the one now, they're just going, all over the place and doing it.
Mm.
Yeah, and it just goes to like just the money. When they go back to like, they have youth mentoring programs. You getting $7 million for that. You getting after school programs. You getting 15 million for that. Summer programs. You getting 45 million for that. You getting all this money for the kids.
And so that's federal. That's federal money that's
No,
being given, or that's
I
just
mean,
or
it's in the
for the country.
budget.
Put in the budget.
It's in,
Okay.
it's in the budget. So, I don't know if it's coming from the feds. I mean, I know that they took a lot of this money out since Trump is in
Mm.
there. So like they don't have the after school programs that they're trying to push this time. Um, no, they got the after school program. They took out the crime reduction, the violence reduction money. They took that out. And
And this is
yeah, so
for 20.
basically, yeah, in the after school, the summer programs. So all
Okay.
these summer jobs that he said that he had for the past 2 years that he's always said, you know, I'm the mayor who gave the most summer jobs. I'm the one who gave the most summer jobs. So you got 45 million in the 2025 budget, and then in 2024 budget for summer programs, you had 24 million. So you can't sit here and say that you almost had
Mm-hmm.
$100 million in summer program money, and teen takeovers are out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Teen robberies are out of control. Teen suicides, a lot of suicides too, are out of control. You know,
Domestic
teen
violence.
present, yeah, the teen domestic. They're not. It's that murders.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? They're robbing the freight trains.
Mm-hmm.
There's like there's no back in the day. Like I said, like these kids not doing any summer activities that kids used to do back when you get out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's that the money is being stolen.
Yeah.
The money's being stolen by the pastors, by the priests, by these NGOs, these nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're being they giving them to their friends. You
Yep.
know, people like it's honestly like people get mad at Trump all they want about him cutting DEI. But man, DEI was a cancer and is a cancer in our community
Mm-hmm.
because DEI turned into who knew who went to school with
Mm-hmm.
who pledged with who did this, who's sleeping with who da 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 da,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a clique. DEI was a clique, and if you wasn't in part of that clique, you wasn't going to get any opportunities, any money, and look what all this money that has been allocated just for them, just for him. Now, mind you, we're not talking about Lori Lightfoot. You're
Mm-hmm.
Right.
not talking about Rahm Emanuel. You're not
Mm-hmm.
talking about Daley. You're not talking about Eric Adams. You're not talking about the mayor before him. Was it Goldberg? Was it Goldberg that was after Eric Adams? But just saying, all these mayors, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about L.A. mayors, Karen Bass, all them.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine all this money that's going into these predominantly black neighborhoods, these blighted areas. The money that the federal government is giving you, and it's never reaching these areas. And
Mm-hmm.
so now that we're here, where we don't have anything, and you have people like Brandon Johnson, Jasmine Crockett will stand up and sit here and say that we're fighting white supremacy.
Yeah.
What? Let's
Yeah.
talk about the money.
Yeah. You know what? And that's one of the things that I think is that's really the intersectional. That's the intersection I think we're shifting. I talk about that a lot on this channel because I told my buddy the other day. He's like I say from Chicago. We were on the pod the other day, and I said one of the things that we struggle with in the black community is that as far as everybody voting one way is that they kind of have everybody like they have you more scared of racism than they have you scared of mismanagement.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
And
so
then
I
if you bring it up, they say, why you want to take a black man down? Why you want to
Mm-hmm.
take a black woman down? No, they took themselves down. They took themselves
Mm-hmm.
down.
well, the reason why, you know what, and here's the thing, and that's why I appreciate what you all are doing so much because that's really what's important is to kind of get people stop looking this way and look another way to pay attention. Because while you're worried about racism, you're not watching the mismanagement. So
Right.
even in Chicago itself, if you go outside of Chicago city limits, Chicago land, I have a lot of people I know from Dalton. You
Oh,
saw
bless
what
you.
Tiffany Henyard did in Dalton. You saw that Dalton is huge deficit. She destroyed that town.
Right.
Harvey is broke.
Yes.
Christopher Clark and Harvey, they have to fire half the firefighters and half the police. I mean, Riverdale, and not to mention all the other towns around it. They all have a lot of similar issues. So I think that what's really important going forward, and I love y'all movement because it's really about focusing on who is running your town, who's running
Right.
your city. And, someone, this guy named Dave Anderson said something on a podcast at one point. He said it perfectly. He said, "Why are the black community always focused on worrying about Republicans and looking at Republicans when you don't vote for Republicans and Republicans don't run a lot of where you live? You should
Right.
be focused. You should be focusing on who actually runs your
The
city. And
city. Yeah.
You're supposed to scrutinize who actually is running where you live. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So let me ask y'all about what are you guys getting any like in real life, not on comments. Are you getting any like pushback from citizens? Because again, we know with all you guys are doing and all the changes that is happening, there's still some. I mean, the Democratic Party has a really strong hold on black votes, right? So do you guys get any pushback in real life from Chicago citizens who who can't avoid all the stuff that you guys are bringing up, but at the same time, are you finding pushback?
Yeah, me, black men.
Really?
Black men, I can deal with the women. Because I could, I sit and talk with them. Like sometimes they'll be emotional, but I'll break it down to them, and I'll be like, man, like why would I lead y'all into a death trap when I'm out here fighting for my own mother? Like,
Hmm.
what I'm saying? That's common sense. But when it comes to men, it's just like, I mean, want to go in, go off, want to argue with you, want to debate you, want to try to tell you you don't know what you're talking about, trying to tell you ignorant, da da da. Boy, you don't even know where to get the budget from. You don't even know what's going on, Charlie. You don't even know the budget. Like you don't know anything. You're just so mad because you hate Trump.
Right, right.
And you feel like we are like these groupies, like we're these groupies, and it's like, no, we do we appreciate Trump? Yes, just like anybody else should appreciate the person who they voted for regardless. So do we appreciate? Yes. Are we going to advocate for him? Yes.
Hmm.
Are we going to ask for his help?
Yeah.
Yes, we voted for him.
And in his policies, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why we voted for him, because we loved his policies and we needed help. Like you said, that was very, very good what you said. On the local level, how is it that you all, as black Americans, freedmen Americans, give the Democratic Party 90 to 95% of your vote for all these years, 50, 60, whatever years, and you are more focused on Republicans that you don't even vote for than the people that you vote for, and they're in power right now. Whatever you in Chicago, a Republican have not ran Chicago since 1931. We haven't had a Republican mayor. So why are you so focused on Trump, and everything that you're complaining about is locally? You see black faces that's doing it, or you see it's the Democratic Party who you voted for, who treat
Hmm.
you like you're a lower class citizen. They have, these politicians have became celebrities. You know how you gotta, they be like trying to get to the celebrity, and they got the bodyguards around, and they don't really want to be bothered with you, and you feel like if they turn around, shake your hand, oh my God, he shook my hand. This is how your politicians have us, or our people looking at them, when they don't understand that we have to remind them they work for you. Why are you so happy that they talked to you, and they took your phone call? They supposed to. You pay their salaries. They're here to
Hmm.
represent you. If your aldermen no longer represent you, you can't see nothing they're doing, get rid of them. Let them know you're going to get rid of them. So when you do, so the problem is getting people to see that. So we have gotten the hate from some of the people, like some black people, like when we just go out in the street. But
Hmm.
it's also too how the white liberals we have pushbacks from them when we go to
Hmm.
certain places and maybe
Hmm.
go and we are conservative and we voice who we are and what our beliefs are. It's them, the white liberals, because they feel like, how dare you as a black American, how
Right.
dare you vote Republican? How dare you don't be a Democrat? How dare you not do what we tell you to do? How dare you think for yourself? So
Right.
Right.
it's more so of, and then when you look at when they say that, then when we tell them, well, have you actually came over to the south side of Chicago? Have you walked down there? Yeah, well,
No.
yeah, but back in 1969. So it's all of that. So this is more so this is more so what we deal with far as, when it come down to face. It's some black people, but me, the liberals, the white liberals.
Mm. You know, the white liberals crack me up because
Yeah.
they they do sometimes be looking like, how could you actually consider anything else? And
Hmm.
it's actually, that's actually insulting for someone to tell you that based on your skin, because
Right.
I tell people all the time, like, listen, every other group can feel free to vote Democrat or Republican or Independent, and it's all good. It's not a problem. But if you if you're black, it's like, it's odd. You're not supposed to vote anything other than Democrat.
Right.
It's so I commend you both for starting a movement, because I think, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but people think that things like a Chicago Flip Red is about Donald Trump and about being
Mm-hmm.
Republican. And I think people have to understand that that's not the driving force, as Zoe said as well. It's, yeah, you support who you voted for, but you didn't start it. You didn't start the movement because of Donald Trump.
Hmm.
The movement started
Right.
because you have to apply pressure on who is running your city and town. So, now with that being said, like, so one of the things I wanted to say earlier too, you both brought up points that made me think about this. Now, growing up in Illinois, I'll be honest with you, where Chicago is now doesn't actually surprise me,
Hmm.
um, for a couple of reasons. One, Chicago is one of the most segregated cities, if not the most segregated city in the country, large, big city. One. Two, there's always been an issue of, you know, some level of crime. It is what it is. We got drugs, we got gangs. It's just entrenched in there, and the gangs aren't even organized anymore. It's just,
Right.
back in the day, the gangs, you know, uh, even if you take within, whatever. I ain't gonna get into the details, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, One gang, it would be like there were at least,
Miles alone. Now
yeah,
every block have a different
every
gang.
yes, every
Yeah. Yeah.
block, they going to war with each other. And to compound that, and things that you both mentioned, as far as the way the youth is, because you see around the country now, the culture of the youth is they don't really care anymore. So what I explain to people about Chicago is that Chicago's always had that element. You have the guns now got switches on them.
Hmm.
So it's these kids got guns at earlier ages and they don't care about shooting. Um, but I say that to say that the other part of it is that with Chicago going the way it is, lack of business and the segregation, I'm not surprised where it is now. Um, so I think that, what do you all think, if nothing happens, if nothing changes the trajectory, where do you all see Chicago being in, like, let's say 15 years, 10 to 15 years?
I ain't looking at that because I see it changing. I
Hmm.
see I see it changing. I don't see it not changing. I mean, I think that Danielle and I and Miss Jessica built a movement that is the blueprint that every other city should
Hmm.
do if their elected officials ignore them. For 2.5 years, Me and Miss Jessica was down there every day. I started protesting outside. Like I did everything. I did the civil rights 101, you understand, package, and I was the youngest to do it, And when I say that to say, because everybody, all your friends, you need 100 people, you need all that. Nah, all I need is I know who I am. I know my influence, and I know that eventually my friends and people who know me will catch up
Hmm.
and see where I'm coming from, and now they're caught up. I believe that we will have a Republican governor. I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
will have a Republican mayor. I feel like we will get a Republican senator. I feel like we will get a lot of we'll get at least 5 to 10 city council members. Uh, and then I think the next term, not the 26, 27, but what is it, 20, well, 30 and 31,
Mm-hmm.
we'll work on Cook County side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I can't say I can see the businesses coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I see Magnificent Mile looking
Magnificent
back
again.
Magnificent.
magnificent. I see the children.
Right.
I see that the new set of children, like my friends and stuff that have children. Danielle has children who she has a grandson. Like they're growing up. These
Yeah.
kids are being raised correctly. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So these group of children that are growing up, the elders, that will still be around. I believe that this is going to be probably one of the biggest things in history that the city of Chicago do, especially the South Side, is that the boomers are going to vote for us. They're going to vote for Chicago Fifth Red. They're going to vote for if Danielle runs for office. They're going to vote for our endorsements because we really was out there. We really put our lives on the line
Hmm.
to save this city, and everybody's watching. So I don't think I don't see it going. They were, yeah, I don't see it going like nowhere but great. Back to about this, yeah, like
I
I can
love
see
it.
it going red,
I
red,
love
red,
the
red, red,
optimism.
red.
I love
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so
optimism.
that's me.
That's
But
that's
yeah,
that's the way to look at it. And I'm so glad you said that because um I mean it shouldn't go down and it shouldn't go the wrong way. And to your point, I mean, I have kids too. My kids are young too. And I think about, how the world how America will be in 10, 15, 20 years.
Yes.
And I am also, again, one of the things, like, to your point, it's so important that we don't continue the cycle of just voting as a whole block one way. I think that's
Right.
extremely dangerous, not only in Chicago but everywhere. We got to think
Yes.
think for ourselves, and if something is wrong, you got to hold them accountable. So,
Yeah.
one
Yes.
other thing I wanted to touch on, and that's something you just brought up, Zoe. So, Brandon Carter's term is over in 2027. So,
Brandon Johnson.
two things. So, Danielle, are you thinking about possibly running?
Well, Zoe, she already said you my mayor. I don't care what nobody says. She don't care. But what I look at is we didn't choose this life. This life chose us. You understand? We was just I I I'm known as a trainer, so I train
Hmm.
the Chicago. Mostly every woman in Chicago, Danielle, majority of them I trained, and so
Hmm.
that was my life. I thought we was gonna have a business. We were just gonna be training people, changing lives that way. So I'm
Hmm.
sure thought something else. So it's like right now we are not planning anything, we're being guided,
Got you.
and everything that's for us is just being on that road that we are being guided on every day
Mm-hmm.
is new things that needs to be done that we don't plan for. So
Mm-hmm.
in other words, I trust God. I'm a Christian. My faith is in Jesus Christ. So
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing happens just for any reason at all. He has a plan for us, and he knew who we were when we were born, before we were born.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
because of that, no matter what I thought my life was going to be or could be or what I wanted it to be, I also understand it's whatever he wants it to be and whoever he called me to be. And I'm always mindful of that. So whatever it is, whatever he feel and he see fit for my life, and I'm sure Zoe's life, it is what it is because he's going to prepare us. And it's
Right.
funny because when you ask that, the way it's happening is people trust us, and it's nothing that we did that was ingenuine. I mean, it wasn't genuine. Everything we're doing is from the heart because we really love people. We really love Chicago. We really love America. We really love this. You know what we're doing, so we believe in it, and I guess if that's what his plan is, he's preparing us for whatever it is. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna always say, yes, nothing is too hard for me. Never have been. I'm in the business of telling people because I'm a trainer. What you told me you can't do that? What what you say you
Mm-hmm.
can't? You can't even use the word can't when I'm training you, or that's 50 push-ups. So so in your
Mm-hmm.
mind, whatever you say you can't do, you won't do. Whatever you say you can do, you will do. So it's just on you. How hard are you willing to do to work to get what you want? So that's just where I'm at. However he leads me, wherever he say you're gonna be, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And one thing about it is we're definitely willing to do whatever it takes to flip Chicago and to get these people up out of office and to save our beautiful city and state. That's a
Absolutely.
must. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I love that you said we're being guided. I think that
mhm.
and it definitely appears and looks that way from what you all are doing. I know that it's not easy work. I don't see what you all actually do all the time, but I see a lot of it, and I'm sure that I know there's a lot I don't see, and it's not easy work to go out there, particularly in a state that's all blue, to go out there and well, even before we talk about blue or red, it's hard to go out there and actually make change in a city like Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And that's hard work. It's very hard work. So I just commend you
Very
guys
hard.
for that.
Very
I
hard.
really do. I
Very
believe.
hard. That's how you know it's God because come on,
Yeah.
Chicago. Since
Yeah.
you know how they are 1931, they've been this machine is a machine. We talking about from the judges, from the not what the prosecutors, the state's attorney, from the
Hmm.
Cook County Board president, from the governor to the mayor to the aldermen to every department is
To
Democratic.
Daly, you
Daily,
understand? Like Daly's a machine within its
yeah,
own.
on his
You
Yeah.
know, and honestly, until the pushback now is probably Daly.
Hmm.
You know, right now with the little bit that they do have left of that machine, and
own.
then you've got the Obama machine that was
Oh
trying
yeah,
that's trying to be built now. You know, you got
Hmm.
him. He done came back. You got Rom back here now. You
the
got
progressive
now.
machine,
Yeah,
this progressive
so
machine, yeah, yeah, the one
you
world
killed
for,
one machine,
yeah,
and then there's his progressive machine,
mm-hmm,
Hmm.
and this progressive machine is the machine that we're going to have to worry about for midterms because they done stole so much money right now to get this machine going. That's why they're not trying to. That's why they're going against everything. No, you're not. I don't care who. I don't care that the Congress sent a letter for us to send our audit CTU. I don't care.
right.
And
We're
said
not doing
because
it.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Y'all gonna have to get it back in blood. Like they want
Yep.
the fight. They
Yeah.
want they want this because they know that it's pretty much over. It is over. Like they've caused so much harm in so little time.
Yeah.
That it was enough to wake enough percentage of black people up to make this city go red.
Yeah.
Well, they're burning. I've never seen a property tax bill barbecue before, and that 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 I ain't gonna say I even want to burn mine here in New Jersey, but like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're gonna pay high taxes, the services better be there. It can't
That,
be chaos where you live.
And they
So,
have no answer. Like
yep.
to
you know,
this, since property tax had went up, he has not talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Pritzker has not talked about it. Tony Preckwinkle, she just bought a new home, $1 million home in Kenwood the other day, a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they have not talked. The city council members haven't talked about it. No one has talked about this property tax hike and what's the reason for it.
Yeah. And,
mm,
and and mind
Because they
you,
would have to tell the reason.
yeah, they would have
mm,
to. And mind you, their constituents are homeowners. Like Michelle Harris, she have, the homeowners. And so we are homeowners. So you would think they would think enough about us to say, hey, I know you all are pissed about your property taxes. They not.
mm.
They haven't said nothing, but they're fighting for illegal aliens to get free assistance, ritual assistance, and free keep funding their lifestyle with free
And these
everything.
raises
Oh
are
yeah.
insane. Like this guy that's the commissioner of aviation. He just started May 5th. Brandon Johnson just appointed him May 5th, 2025.
Mhm.
If the budget passes, he's set to receive a $58,000 raise.
Hmm.
While the city is laying off 500 city workers if the budget is passed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But you're lying and saying that you're working for that you're working for the working class. You're fighting for the families. Like those families I'm
Are
pretty
going to be.
sure those families have families.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the workers have
Have
families. I'm
families.
pretty
Yeah.
sure some of them workers are homeowners.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know
Listen,
they
and you're
are.
gonna lay them off right at the holidays
While you,
Mm.
for your agenda?
while your salaries, while you were getting your whole administration is getting raises, and
I
the
mean, all of them.
and I'm talking about crazy raises, like Zoe said,
Mm.
58, 30,000,
16,000,
16,000, 28,000,
6,000. Yep.
18,000, 6,000. 6,000 is crazy.
And we don't even know who you are. You don't show up. Your aldermen, all of them getting raises, and they
Yeah.
don't even come to work.
Deputy mayor. I mean, I'm gonna go tonight before I go to bed. I'm gonna count how many deputy mayors and deputy chiefs, deputy commissioners that we have in that whole budget.
It's so
Well,
many.
people hope.
Dep-
People hope in politics and office. I think people hope that most people, such as yourselves and other constituents, don't do the research, and most people don't. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
time and they don't pay attention, and it's a security blanket to just be like, I'm just going to vote for this particular side up and down the ballot. And I think that what y'all are doing is so important. Um, the other thing I was going to ask you all too about, now, are you guys support Christina Maxwell? I've been trying to get her on the podcast too. I don't know a lot about her, but I was seeing that she is a Republican and she is running for Congress out of
Mm-hmm.
Illinois.
yeah,
So,
for the first
um,
congressional district.
yeah. So, I mean, obviously you don't speak for her, but is she connected to y'all's movement at all, or just mutual respect and support?
I think mutual respect and support. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we are supporting her.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the three candidates. So it's Dave Dewar, Christian
Support
McGovern, and Christian Maxwell.
for right
Okay.
And
now.
I'm thinking about Diane Harris for Secretary of State.
Okay.
Yeah. We are begging
But
people because we understand that people trust us when we are leading our people out of the Democratic plantation, because this is what it is, slavery. We have to make sure we lead them, yeah. And and so when we put our name behind anyone, it's going to be because we vetted them. We know what the policies are. We know what they are going to do for, especially for Chicago, as well as Illinois. How's it going to help us, our community as well? So when we say we are for or endorse somebody, we don't take that lightly just because I know you and you a Republican and I like you. It's very, very, it's deeper than that. And it's very intense because if we tell people are literally saying, who are you all telling me to vote for? Because that's who I'm voting for. So they trust us, and we have to make sure that we are we are responsible for, vetting these people and vetting the candidates and saying, hey guys, when we put that list out, these are the people we vet, these are the people that you should vote for because they're going to give us exactly what we need and things. So we don't take that lightly. And that's just what it is with us.
Hmm.
That's just because we can't stand Jonathan Jackson. So we can't stand him. That's
Yeah,
who she's running
anybody
against.
but him, but she
Yeah,
is running
Christina.
against
Yeah,
him.
but just from like Zoe said, yeah, mutual respect, everything she's about, everything she's on is definitely what we're on and talking about and what we want to implement. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm it's glad you said that because I think that I'll bet I'm just assuming. I think people might assume like, oh, like you said, y'all are groupies for Trump and MAGA, and y'all would just go for anybody who's Republican. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I
no,
love the
no.
fact that y'all, are about the policies. That's what's most important. It's not just about putting on some red and saying you Republican.
Right.
What policies you stand for? What are you about? And that's
Yeah, and I'm unapologetically a freeman. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the issues, one of the things that the Democratic Party, I mean, the Republican Party, and Democratic Party, they don't never discuss freedom. They don't never discuss the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. They don't never discuss civil rights. I mean, a civil war, like in a way to explain, you know, our history in the history that needs to be taught. And the
hmm
reason why is because they would have to acknowledge things like reparations,
hmm
40 acres and a mule,
hmm
you know. But I feel like right now, and people gonna watch this and gonna be the uncomfortable truth, but I'm gonna say it now because at the end of the day, I stand on it. I feel like our reparation was when the radical Republicans helped us become free, right? And I feel like the 40 acres and a mule is what we if they didn't assassinate Lincoln and Andrew, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it was Johnson or Jackson, whatever bitch ass, whichever one was, that ended up taking that away from us. Um, we have always been fighting for that. 1919 race riots. They took it away again. They took the 40 acres mule away again.
hmm
DEI. Well, I mean, the civil rights movement, before the civil rights movement, we had our stuff. We were rebuilding again. Everything was good. Like I said, city of Chicago, most segregated city. And
hmm
we in the South Side, they had everything: the furniture stores, gas stations, Mr. Armour, grocery stores, restaurants, homes, you know what I'm saying? We had everything, businesses, and then civil rights movement. Then they killed Martin and then Malcolm and all that stuff. It's just like we've been forever chasing the 40 acres and a mule.
hmm
And we will never get the 40 acres and a mule unless we discuss the 40 acres and a mule that the Democratic Party took away from us after they assassinated Lincoln. And we have been fighting for it. And then you have the only man right now, people can hate him all they want, but this man is trying to abolish property taxes right
Mm-hmm.
now.
hmm
You understand? So, I mean, if he can do that, that's a start.
That's a
hmm
great start. He's talking about the 13th, 14th 15th
Well, the
Amendment.
14th Amendment now with
Yeah,
ending of the
14th
birthright
Amendment.
citizenship. So,
Yup.
you know, and we went down to DC to support him on the first time. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
first. So now they just spoke about it again. They say in February they're going to start the oral arguments. We need to be down there again supporting him.
Hmm.
That's the problem. We're
That's
so busy worried about. Well, the Republicans don't do nothing for us. Well, you got a man right here trying to abolish
right.
property taxes and fighting for the 14th Amendment for us. So I mean, that's a start right there.
Right
I don't
there.
know what else.
The
You know what I'm saying? He
Democratic
tried to come
Party.
in. He brought ICE here. He brought Border Patrol here because we need it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all stopped him from that. He was willing to
Mm-hmm.
bring the National Guard. He had the National Guard here.
To
You
stop the
understand?
crime.
Willing
Yup.
to waiting to come into the city. Y'all stopped that.
Yup.
You know what I'm saying? Everything that he's trying to do for us, you're stopping it.
Yup. And wow.
Well,
So how do you sit here and say he racist?
Mm-hmm.
what's interesting
That's
about
good, though. Yup.
what's so interesting about what you're saying, Zoe, is that so let's assume for a minute, because I don't know what's in Donald Trump's heart or every man's heart, right? But let's assume for a minute, and I think this is the crux of where we're at now. So let's assume that Donald Trump doesn't like black people or whatever the case is. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm not a person that I don't think like, I don't really care who likes. That's not
Right.
really how I function. But let's assume that Donald Trump doesn't like black people or whatever the case is, right? Um, but policies, but policies that are put in place actually are beneficial. So I think that's what it sounds like you're getting at. So what I think would be interesting is if we get to a point where we're not worried about who likes us, quote unquote, you know, because again, black people, if we do tend to jump front line and try to be part of everybody else's movement as long as
Mm-hmm.
they color in their skin, we're like, oh, that's our movement, and we front line. And so you got some black people, black American people jumping front line for immigration. It was weird
Right.
to me, but it's weird, but it is what it is. But so
Ebony.
if we get to the point where people are actually focused, like you said, on policies that are beneficial for them, um, I think that would be ideally the place where we said, okay, what's the policy? Because I think that I would say that most people vote like that outside of us, outside of black people.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of look at the policy and whether they can benefit from the policy.
Yup.
And then maybe they may look at whether that group or that person likes them or not. But I think that's usually secondary. It's usually about what are those policies looking like. And I think that to your point, again, you just brought up reparations. You brought up, 40 acres and a mule. And these are things typically branded to Democrats. But the Democrats or liberals or people on the left usually brand that as something to kind of pin on the heart of black
Mm.
people, for all the past. But they don't use it in a way where to say, okay, are the policies getting you closer to reparations or 40 acres and a mule or whatever it is you're looking for? So property taxes it's funny because, I'm not an active realtor anymore, but I was a heavily active realtor. I used to talk about property taxes all the time because I'm like, that's a big part of your expense.
Right.
It's something that actually people who are focused on policy look at because it's important. And so, just to your point, I think it's both of your points. I think it's a very interesting thing that you guys are heavily focused on policy, and I think that I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
just underscore that so people don't think, oh, it's just about throwing on a red hat and becoming Republican, and that's it. So I think,
No, we're just living in a social media time. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so, and because it's a social media time, we have to create content. Even when we were going down to city council, when I realized that me and Miss Jessica, like the media was never going to take our issue,
Uh-huh.
which our issue, you understand? I told her, I was like, what I'm gonna do is just every 3 minutes, like our 3 minutes, I'm just going to post them. I'm gonna record. I mean, once they're done, and when they put, and for a minute they were trying not to put the link, so I had to like say, I will sue y'all if y'all don't put the link, so I can get the because I didn't realize that YouTubers were getting it. Independent podcasters were taking our 3 minutes or taking snippets of Miss Jessica or snippets of myself and stuff like that. So then other people were going down there, riding off our wave, but we really didn't care because we were down there for a purpose. We were down there because the city of Chicago is stealing black people's property. They're displacing us,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's saying nothing. No one's doing it, either on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
went to the Republicans here before, I made the choice to align with President Trump was because, like you said in the beginning of the podcast, we had him before. You know what I'm saying? Like I did a term with. I actually did COVID with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He handled COVID very well. He handled
Mm-hmm.
COVID in the way that I would have handled COVID. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? Like, matter of fact, like I would have probably not sent no money to any of the blue states who kept their people jailed. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because why am I sending you guys money and y'all are losing businesses? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not making any sense. I would have forced them to open back up.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the only difference that I would have done because you messed up three cities. I mean, not he didn't
Mhm.
mess up three cities,
Right.
but these, you understand,
With the
but these
policies.
governors and
Mhm.
these
Yeah.
mayors messed up them three states, New York, California, and Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mhm.
so I think that people need to understand as an entrepreneur. Danielle's an entrepreneur. Miss Jessica's an accountant. She was she was an accountant for one of the largest school district, what was LA Unified. She was in LA from 1985 until 2019. So
Mm-hmm.
she saw the height and then she saw the decline. So you have three different people from three different backgrounds,
Mhm.
but
Right.
are all got the same message, just in three different ways. And when we are saying the message, some people may not understand it from me, but they may understand it from Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
They may not understand it from Danielle, but they'll understand it from Miss Jessica because
Mm-hmm.
Miss Jessica's older.
Mhm.
So but the message is getting out there, and that's all that matters
Yeah.
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, our message is the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's all about the policy, and I think that you know, I appreciate what you all are doing. I appreciate y'all coming on because again, I know you guys are busy, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Zoe, third time being on, I appreciate you. Danielle, I've been wanting to meet you, and I've seen you on many videos, seen your work. So I was like, let's see if we can get both of you on. So I appreciate
Yeah.
you. Is there anything? Well, one also too. I know the site. Is there a particular link where people can donate and stuff like that to the movement?
Let me make sure I got this right because somebody asked us we were somewhere else. I'm like, is it Flip Red?
Yeah, that
It's
always messed me up
I'll
it's
too.
put it up on the
Flips.
screen.
Yeah, it's it's flipsred.com.
Okay,
Flips
I'll
red.
probably.
Yeah, see, I always, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
So
Flips
y'all so
red.
busy. Y'all so busy working that you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. So flipsred.com.
Dobry. Okay, I'll put it
Mm-hmm.
on the screen too on the pod. But I appreciate y'all for coming on once again, and just to give more context to what you're doing, and to really differentiate y'all from just people just talking. Because y'all,
Right.
I've seen y'all do a lot. I've seen y'all under the viaducts with homeless people. I've seen y'all all over.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's a weird.
kudos to y'all.
Yeah, we don't city council meetings, school board meetings, because CPS
Hmm.
meetings. Uh, People want to, we got to go over. If somebody could email us, they need help. We over here. So it just don't stop when you the people, they're seeing, they don't, and we understand it. They don't have nobody. You can't get no help from this administration right here. So we understand that. And some people, we're all they have, especially,
Hmm.
in our community and things like that. So, well, that's just really in Chicago. So, yeah, the only people that's getting help is illegal aliens. So, and we're not that. So,
Right.
yeah, we just, when you're a servant, it's not you're a servant. You are here to serve, not to be served. And that's what I
Right.
think these people need to realize. So, like I said, we have supernatural energy, I believe. This is grace that you see.
I
Grace,
see.
yeah, it's grace to do
I
all the
see.
things that we do.
Yes, absolutely. And the sacrifices, I'm sure it's a lot of sacrifice from personal time, family,
Oh, yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah, my
So,
business like it's almost non-existent because I can't take new clients. But then I'm so like you said, I have to go to these city council meetings. I have to be here because these things are important. And
hmm
so yeah, my business have took a tremendous loss. Really it has. So yeah, but I remember when I told God yes, he told me you basically gonna lose everything. But it is what it is.
being guided, that's what it is, like you said. So, well, I appreciate you. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you
Mhm.
coming on the podcast. I'll make sure I put the link in there, and I support y'all. I mean, if any other way I can support, I mean, I just want people to really, really understand what you're doing because the work, being a citizen, that's what it's all about, and really, really changing things as a citizen takes that type of sacrifice you all are doing. So, I appreciate y'all.
Thank
You
you
know.
for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, it's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
Thank
Hopefully, you all will come
you.
back in the future. Um,
Yeah.
and we'll be watching Chicago. I love the fact I'm gonna close on this. I love the fact that you all are optimistic and looking forward to a better future for Chicago because Chicago it's a great city. I love Illinois. I love Chicago. Still miss the food. I still say Chicago had the best
Yeah.
food, hands down.
Yep.
I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had Harold's in years, so
Yup.
I'll be back one of these days. But yeah, I
Harold.
miss a lot of stuff about Chicago. But it's a great city, and thank y'all for what y'all doing. If y'all have anything else to say, let me know.
No.
All hands on deck.
All
Yes,
hands
sir.
on that. Make sure you all are registered to vote and register as a Republican if
Yes,
you're
first as Republican.
Republican or
Yeah.
switch. But yeah, get off the
And
Democrat.
call us if they trying to tell you that you can't be no Republican.
Right, right, right.
Because they will try to they honestly these Democrats they know that the base is gone, so
Yeah,
they will try to say nah. Once you register as a Democrat, you always a Democrat. Something crazy like that they'll try to say.
Oh
yeah,
man,
They nuts.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, register as a Republican
treating
Yes,
it
and
like a
call
cult.
us if you got any problems.
right.
Absolutely.